First phase of Hustler Fund will impact personal finances. All right. Now, that one will come to us later, but right now we are joined by James Murrell, who is the board chair, Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, and he's joining us today. Thank you for your time.
Asante sana.
All right, now this whole idea of Hustler Fund, yesterday it was launched by the president. A lot of leaders were there, business people came and showcased whatever they were showcasing. So first of all, let us look at how sustainable is this fund?
Interesting question. But first, let me thank you for having me on this show. And really, first of all, I want to find out from you, did you attend the launch?
No, I didn't. I did not attend the launch. I was at work.
I wish you did. You should have actually had an on-site coverage of the event. It was really
But our people were
well done.
Were there.
Yeah, it was very well done. And
yes.
Anybody who wanted to actually witness the stories, the testimonials that were given there were absolutely shocking and good for this country to just know. I'll tell you something. For the longest time, I think people have sort of played down the 500 shilling story and the 1,000 story and asking whether it's sustainable. But I want to tell you, Nyakundi, if you want to know the value of water, just come and meet somebody who is thirsty. Somebody in Garissa where the sun is hot, and show him a bottle of water. That can cause chaos in that village because of the need. Now, that's the same feeling I have for the hustlers here. Yesterday, there was a testimonial from a Mama Samaki who started her business with 250 shillings. She bought some fish from the fish market. She went and sold it, and she made a bit of money. And the one extra fish, she went and fed her children, and the following day she had 200 shillings. She went again to the market and bought now more fish, and she kept increasing her yield from 250.
Yes. Now,
the president also gave some astounding statistics, which we are aware of, that there is empirical evidence that the biggest borrowers in this country, whether it's Fuliza or small facilitation, borrow between 200 and 2,000 shillings. That is where the most people. And I'll tell you, I have fully at once or twice or 3 times, I can't remember. But it's because I'm at a petrol station. I've had gas, I've asked for gas. I thought I had 6,000 shillings. I've asked for 8,000 shillings. So I'll quickly Fuliza 2,000 shillings to cover that bill before I can go and thingy. So now, that Fuliza bit, for me, is just a bridging of a facility. To somebody else, that is opening stocks. And yesterday, walking through the Green Park, we spoke to some of these maize roasters and the ones who sell fruits on the street. 500 shillings opening stock. At the end of the trading day, he probably has made another 200 or 300 shillings. So tomorrow he has 800 shillings to start with.
Yes.
And that's how businesses grow. That's the only time you can actually build a thingy is when you start from the bottom up. There are people who were yesterday, whose fortunes changed completely, who were attending there. I mean, there's one person who just came and said, look, I am a boda driver. I drive somebody else's boda. I don't have my own.
Yes.
And through the network, he was given about 200,000, which transformed his life. I can tell you 200,000, he's got his own boda.
Yes.
He's now not going to be working for somebody else. He's got money in his pocket every day of his life, and he can now increase the fleet. So it is only those who have never had the pain points of a hustler down at the grassroots. And I've been through it all. I grew up in Kangemi. I know what hustling is all about. So when I speak from a very informed position that yes, you can rise from the ashes. You can rise from Kangemi to where I am. And through the hustles that my mother and my father went through to make me who I am. And that is a testimony also of this young man who sells these sausages, and they were there at
with
the
the
show
mom.
with the mom.
Yes.
And that was a very moving story. He was educated with that hustle. So yesterday, again, through this event, they were able to get a good support from Safaricom, about 120,000. That's going to change their lives. Those were the lucky dips. Those were the lucky drops. But now the unveiling of this Hustlers Fund was a game changer. And while the naysayers are going to say everything they want to say about this, there are those real beneficiaries who appreciate 500, the value of 500 shillings, which maybe you don't pay attention to 500 shillings. Most people don't, but I can tell you 500 shillings means life and death for some people.
All right, very, very well said. Now, even as we are looking at now this 500 to 50,000 and a business that is starting up for 550,000, as you've said, that's a very big addition into even starting up. Now, what impact are we looking at, especially in terms of SMEs going forward? How will this impact SMEs even going forward?
You know, for the longest time, this sector has been forgotten. In fact, I call it the stone that the builder rejected or forgot about. If you look at the bottom of a pyramid, that's the widest part of the pyramid, the bottom. And figure out trying to make a pyramid stand on the tip. Can it? It's not easy.
It's not easy.
It's that bottom of the pyramid that really sustains this country. And I can tell you, in the full glare of the cameras, the telcos of this country, you're talking Safaricom, you're talking Airtel, you're talking of Equitel, you're talking of Telcom. If today that bottom strata stopped for one day to do the transactions, to make calls, remember there are about between 14 and 16 million people in that bottom of the pyramid. Their transactions alone are the ones that have sustained the telcos and the banks, financial institutions. These are the numbers, and they don't lie. If you look at an economy like China, with 1.6 billion people, they are running the world because numbers don't lie. They have a consumer market that is ready to consume. If you make phones, you can be a billionaire in no time at all, because there are 1.6 million billion potential consumers. So the people at the bottom of the pyramid are the ones that for a long time have deserved this kind of support that has been lacking. The Hustler Fund comes in without any committees that have to discuss your product or your application. There is no title deed that's required, no security. It is you and your phone, as the president put it. And I can give you some quick statistics. I've just been given the current statistics. So far, 1.4 million people have registered by 24 hours. And 483 million has been disbursed as we talk to 343 Kenyans. They have received that. There are testimonials out there. But of course, the naysayers will always look at the negative and say this cup is half empty. They never see it half full. That is where we have a problem. Now, there is a problem about how many people can get through this funnel, because it's like a funnel. As of yesterday, when the president launched it, there were 600 people every minute trying to log onto this USSD. Right now, it's come down to about 190 every minute trying to get in. You know, it's like trying to push water through a very small bottle top. You know, like the way a Fanta bottle looks, and you're trying to put in water with a bucket. It can't take so much. A lot of it pours out. That is what we are having. But in terms of whether it's working, it is working. And we saw the demonstration, how much money you saw, how much loan the president can get, 2,400. I don't think he has been very active in Fuliza. But there are brothers in this market who will qualify for the entire 50, because that's what they do.
All right. And now, when we look at this Hustler Fund,
yes.
How can this be different?
And sorry, you asked another question about the sustainability.
Yeah, the sustainability.
It will be self-sustaining, because with a little interest, the fund will keep growing, will keep growing, will keep growing. And we are hoping that the hustlers will do the honorable thing and continue paying, because their interest that they are being charged is very, very low. 8%. 8%. Do you know how much they've been paying before for Fuliza? It's about 3,600%. Because it's 10% per day. You borrow 1,000, you pay in the evening 1,100. That's 10%. So 10% per day for 365 days is 3,600. And so when you are charging, they are now being charged 0.02% per day. Actually, you borrow 500 shillings, you pay 501 shillings and 43 cents by evening. 500 shillings, you'll have turned it around. So the numbers don't lie. And I want you to do your math and see.
Okay.
You know, there's that. Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Now let's move and look at there was the Uwezo Fund and the Youth Fund also, purposely formed to help businesses across the country.
Yes.
Will this, because those funds, if you look at them, they were formed and then we usually just hear about them. So how will this be different from the Uwezo Fund and also the Youth Fund and other funds that have been created?
You see, this fund is unique in the sense that the president in his wisdom decided to make it as simplified as possible. What was complicated about the Youth Fund and the Uwezo Fund and all these other funds that have given is the bureaucracy that was there, where you have to write an application, wait for a committee to evaluate your problem, and meanwhile you just wanted to buy a few cobs of maize, roast, make your hustle, make your little profit, and go. By the time you go through this application process, my friend, you've lost it. The business is gone. Yeah, there is this side when the sun is so hot. This fellow only wants to buy some mixture to make ice cream for kids and sell quickly while the sun is very hot. If it gets cold, his business is done. If you go to the show or you find there is a public activity and you want to buy a little unga, some munga, and make some hamri or whatever, hustlers know their hustles, and they know how to deal with it. But the problem is these other ones were bureaucratic. They were surrounded with a lot of bureaucracy. That's why I'm happy when they say it's an online product. You apply. If you meet the threshold, you get your money. The only issue here is please make sure you pay so that you build this. And that's my appeal to the hustlers. Make sure you pay and then you build the fund. And it can only get bigger. In my opinion, as a chair of the board, what I see is a situation where we can grow this fund from 50 billion. Once people see, other development partners see that it's working, African Development Bank may say, we also want to put in some more money to grow. World Bank may see this is a good way of reaching, cascading help to where it's most needed, and put in more funds. But the discipline that we show in handling this first tranche is what is going to really help greatly. And my appeal to the hustlers is borrow, do your hustle, make sure you pay. And if you can pay before, and probably people who have not understood, the 500 shillings is not the limit. 50,000 shillings is not the limit. It gradually increases as you perform. As you start with 500 shillings and you make your 1,000 shillings, and you find now actually your mandazis have become or samosas have become very popular, and you need to borrow. Depending on how financially organized you are, this will keep increasing. It will keep increasing. It's not pegged to just the 500.
Yes, and even as you speak about how financially someone is, you borrow and then you're given 14 days.
Yes.
Do you think 14 days is really is it enough for someone to get these funds? And maybe would it maybe have been increased a little bit? Because 14 days, someone might not really get the amount that maybe they wanted to get by that time.
Nyakundi. Fuliza guys borrow in the morning at 4 a.m. Those mamas in Nyamakima, they borrow 1,000, 2,000 in the morning. They are so disciplined. In the evening, they pay 2,200 and they have made their difference. So it's being given 14 days. You run with that money and turn it over and return it after 14 days. These people are disciplined, and that is where people make a mistake. They religiously, and there is empirical evidence that they out of all the facilities and loans that have been given to other institutions, it is this sector that has an 83% repayment success rate. So what you give them, they pay. So the default is about 17% or thereabout. So if you look at isn't that where the bank should be? They are looking at they're holding the wrong end of the stick. Banks will not, for example, lend a carpenter who is making, furniture, tables like this, because he has to produce security. But they can lend you in Nyakundi because you come with a pay slip and they give you an unsecured facility. Now, who has a higher chance of defaulting? Let's face it. Is it you or is it the furniture maker? Because the furniture maker has a business he's running. He's a hustle. He's going to sell 2 or 3 chairs and pay this loan.
Yes.
Where you have taken the facility and most likely you have done shere, you have bought new furniture in your house.
Yes.
And now you run into financial problems because now the deductions from your pay slip start affecting your disposable income. So for me, even the banks will be now made to rethink their lending policies towards the SME. And that's where the numbers are. Realistically speaking, if you were to do business with these guys and make 10 shillings per day from every hustler down there, 16 million, how much will you be worth every day? 160 million. Numbers don't lie. Hata ukifanya nusu ya hiyo, it will be 180 million shillings.
Yes.
But if you do business with, again, the pyramid gets thinner as it goes up. This bracket up here is not very, it does not have the numbers. The numbers are at the bottom of the scale, period.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. That is James Mureo, who is the board chairman of Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, and we have been discussing about the Hustler Fund. All right, we are going for a short break. We'll be back with more.